Hey guys, welcome back to the Smart Algo YouTube channel. So today I'm going to show you how to use the Smart Algo Pro V2 supply and demand indicators. So first off, after you get the Smart Algo Pro indicator from our website, you want to attach it to your TradingView chart. And after that, you want to click on the settings icon here next to the indicators. And you want to turn on supply and demand. So for this video, I also turned on the power moving average, which is our version of the moving average, which shows the trend direction. So for example, it's different from the regular moving average. So if you plot the regular EMA or SMA next to it, you'll see that the line is very different. So for our power moving average, the moving average turns blue when it's in an uptrend and it turns red if it's in a downtrend. So next up, I'll also turn on the market structure indicator, which shows us the market structure. So for example, if we have a higher low printed here and a higher high, lower high, higher low, and lower high. So we can visualize this via the market structure indicator. And finally, I will turn on the take profit and stop loss settings, which I set to show as yes, and I set to minimal. So what the minimal does is basically it shows us the take profits as a small, non-intrusive visualized cross on the chart with the text compared to the traditional, which would be much more visual. So let me just turn on traditional right here to show you guys. So you can see it right here on the screen that the traditional take profit stop loss indicator has the stop loss line, the entry line, and the 3 take profit lines. Smart Algo Pro V2 is very customizable. You can customize it to however you like. But anyways, guys, let's get back to the topic at hand, which is the supply and demand indicator. So let me turn this back to minimal. So you can see that on the chart we have these red, pink, and blue lines. So what these indicate are the supply and demand zones. So if you guys have heard of smart money concepts or order blocks, you guys will know what these are. So you can see that these pink lines, when price touches it, it acts as like a perfect resistance zone. And these blue zones are a support zone. So that is just one really simple way of looking at it without going too deep into the explanations of supply and demand and smart money concepts. But what you guys can see is that for this point here on the chart, when price went up and touched the supply zone here, it mitigated the supply region, the supply zone, and then price fell down all the way to 1900 for gold. You can see how straight away you can use it in your everyday trading. So for example, you can use it for either take profits or looking for entries. So I'm going to go into a few examples on the chart here to show you guys how you guys can use the supply and demand indicator from Smart Algo Pro V2. So I have a current buy signal printed from this Pro indicator, but straight away you can see that price has hit an area of supply here, but we'll see if it mitigates it or it breaks it. So we can see that straight away price touched the 50% of the supply zone here, and then price went back down. And you can see that price has hit another area of demand here, and price originally started to go back up. Ultimately, buyers were not in control at this point, and price ended up going further down. However, we can see that from this wick here, it shows that buyers are actually starting to push upwards and we have more buying pressure. So there is a chance for the price to push back up from this demand zone here. Now also remember guys, these zones are not a precise measurement of what price can be at. So for example, sometimes it can be right outside the zone here and then push straight up. Okay, so you guys can see that after the zone got mitigated and sellers started to lose control and the buyers took back control, price shot up and we hit take profit 2 from the buy signal we have here. So what we could have done is we could have used our zone. So the zone was roughly about here, and we can take a long position when price starts to look more bullish. So right here, price is starting to look bullish as it's broken above the demand zone here. So I would take a long position here. And guys, this would be a re-entry since we already have our original entry over here. So I would put my stop loss below the lowest point here on the chart just to not get liquidated by turning to liquidity for the institutions. So then I would choose my take profit zone either to be this TP2 point here or the next supply zone here. Okay guys, as you can see, we got taken out by the sell trade. So when you have this sell position, either you could have closed the trade for a minor loss, or you could have taken partials at take profit 2, which should have at least secured you some profits. Alright, next up we're going to have a look at this sell position here and look at the current demand zone. So since the Smart Algo Pro V2 has printed a sell signal, we're going to look at the supply zones over the demand zones, but that doesn't mean that we should ignore the demand zones at all. So as you can see, price has started to have a small reaction from the 50% of the demand zone here. But what we want to look for, guys, is a supply zone and price retrace back into that supply zone. This is where we can take our entry for this sell trade here. So you can see price broke through that demand zone and has already hit the first take profit from the sell trade here. Okay, so you can see now that we have a new supply zone printed on the screen. So what you guys can do is we can have a short position ready, so that either at the opening of the supply zone or the 50%. What I like to do is I like to do it at the 25%, put the stop loss above the high, which will be here. So we can wait for price to go back into the zone. As you can see, we got into the trade perfectly, literally by the pip. And for take profits, I would either choose TP2 or TP3, or I would choose the next demand zone here. So as you can see, price smashed that demand zone. Since we're in a sell trade, we would look for supply zones, as supply zones take priority over the demand zones. And this trade gave us a net of 5.94 risk to reward ratio. So if we took this trade, this original trade, all the way down to TP3, as indicated by the sell signal and the pro indicator, we could have had a return of about 11%, which is crazy, guys. So next you can see that we have a supply zone printed here. So once again, we would look to take a short position when price hits roughly about either the open, the 25%, or the 50% of the supply zone. And then once again, we would put our stop loss above the high, so here, to give our trade some wiggle room, and let it play out. As you can see, guys, we got into the trade. It wasn't a perfect entry, but once again, we got into the wick. And as we placed our stop loss above the high here, we gave ourselves some wiggle room. Whereas if we placed the stop loss just over the supply zone, we would have gone taken out. For this scenario, since we already hit TP3 and we don't have a second demand zone to look for, what I would do is I would take partials when we have a break of structure, which means that the lower low is confirmed. So once we have a break of structure and the candle closes, I would take partials here, 5.28%. And then I'll just trail this using the Smart Algo Pro V2 trailing stop loss indicator, which you can see here. You can activate it. So you can see on the chart that we have these trailing stop loss signals, and after price has broken through this lower low here and formed this breakout structure, I'll just trail the stop loss all the way down here, eventually down to here, and then keep going until it finally takes us out for a total of 12R. So just from these two trades alone, we've made over 20% or 20 risk to reward ratio, which is crazy, guys. The market always gives us these perfect opportunities to enter and exit, and all you need to do is to know when to enter and when to exit, right? And that's what the supply and demand indicator does. So if you guys want to use the Smart Algo Pro V2 indicator for yourself in your own trading, head to the first link in the description below or at smartalgo.com. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.